And welcome live to the LV Home Experts Radio Show, where we talk about real estate and financing every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is 4:40 p.m. I understand we are starting a little bit early, so it is what it is. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, I am Chakits Kruksawat, a licensed real estate agent out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So today I have my partner, the co-host, and also a lender out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Dan French with Guaranteed Rate. What's up, bud?
What's up, guys? How's everybody out there? That was quick, man.
Yeah.
You came in and slammed that.
Yeah. We got to get right into it. I mean, we have so much to cover, especially was not here for the New Year, right? I think we were off for the past 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ground that we have to cover going into the new year. I think this is very important. There's a lot of questions out there of what's going on with the Las Vegas housing market.
Right.
Is the market gonna tank? Is the feds they're tapering off? Are they gonna raise rents? Raise rates? Is that a concern? That is a big concern. But I want to get right into it. And I think this is very important. But before I get into that, Dan.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you for what, 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
4 weeks.
It's been that long.
Long time.
You look a little bit different.
Do I?
Yes.
How do I look? Do I look bad or?
Nah, you actually look the same.
I was like, wait, really? I've been sleeping better.
So have I missed anything lately?
No, I mean, everything's been great.
Yeah.
You know, the economy here, I think, is doing really well as far as the Strip. I looked at some data on that. I think the housing market's hot as ever, but shortage of homes. It's going to be the thing going into this year.
Going into this year, huh? So what'd you hear? You said shortage of homes.
Well, you know, scarcity is going to still be an issue going into Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, I think the economy and across the nation is going to be a problem. But you know, I think people are going to still be challenged with trying to get into an offer, and we may see what we saw in the middle part of last year if this doesn't change, where you're going above price. You can maybe answer that a little bit better, but yeah. We've seen a few contracts come in where they have to go above list.
I know, it's amazing. Today I went to go show a home that was in probate. All right. So what probate is basically, even though you submit your offer gets accepted. It goes through the courts. The courts have to sign off on it. The asking price on here was $700,000. We have a cash buyer that's very interested in it. So I contacted the agent. They had multiple offers within 2 days. They're up about $35,000 from the asking price.
Wow.
Which is we're still seeing those numbers where they just keep increasing. So it's unbelievable, believe it or not.
Well, I mean. And two, like we kind of look at this stuff, 2,300, I think it's 2,336, something like that. Numbers on the market, you'll go into that a little bit more, but it's low, man.
I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on out here in Las Vegas. But I want to get right into this, and I think it's very important for single-family residents. Today, we actually closed out $425,000 for a median price point for a home out here in Las Vegas, and this is a detached single-family residence.
Wow.
Now, if we take a look from the beginning of the year, the median price point at that time was $345,000. That is a total of a 19% increase
from year before.
From the year.
Wow.
So 12 months ago, you could have bought the exact same home for $345,000. Today, by the time we ended the year ending, $425,000. So that's the new median price now.
I don't want to interrupt your process, but so I get the question all the time, like, what is that percentage going to be this year? And I think it's going to be in the double digits still.
I do too.
A lot of people say it's only going to be 3 to 5. I mean, they get some of the top people we can say they're
3 to 5 is a great increase in value. I mean, that's stabilization, right? I mean, that's a good growth, right? But I'm going to say that we're probably going to be about 14% this coming year.
I would agree. 10 to 15. I say 10 to 15. I can't really.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the people, you got, Las Vegas, the LVR. Or the GLVR,
yeah.
They're coming out saying that, some of the people that represent there or that do a lot of data and stuff, they're saying, well, it's only going to be 3.5% or 3 to 5%, maybe 7 to 8%. Nobody really got over the 10%. They were like, nah, it's going to cap out at, maybe 7-8%.
Now, the price that you were paying for the median price for a home since the beginning of the year at $345 versus now you'd probably be paying the same amount at $425 because you had a lower interest rate.
Right.
However, what you look at is the price per square foot of what you would have paid. So now you're paying $231 a square foot, which it's getting a little bit expensive.
I mean, it's on another level. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, inflation has all-time highs as far as since 1982. You got the housing market's highs of all time here in Las Vegas. So I don't see the trend going any direction.
So the question is homes today more expensive than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Okay. So I was watching a couple videos and I read a couple articles. There's a gentleman that I follow, and he makes a good point on home pricing is actually cheaper today than it was 10, 15 years ago. And that's kind of hard to believe, right? But it depends on how you measure, right? Money, right? So everybody pegs everything to the dollar, right? If you peg the dollar to the housing, obviously it's more expensive. But then it's how you look at it. So his analysis was, if you look at certain items, right? Let's just say like gold, oil, and if you bought those commodities back then, how much oil or how much gold would it take you to buy the home today? It would actually be less. So what I'm saying is that your dollar is pretty much losing its value, but it's also how you measure, right? Trade. And what I mean by that, it's you really have to take a look at what's really going up, right? It's the dollar, which means you're just losing your value. But if you look at the housing pricing in a certain way, believe it or not, it's still cheaper to buy a home. But it's just how you look at it.
It's how you look at it.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
I think it's just comparables, right?
Yeah.
Data and different things that you look at.
So I don't want to get too deep into that. I mean, that could be like, conspiracy theory
Well, I mean, it makes a
whatever's-
point. I think, the dollar's over-circulated, so you're seeing the value of the dollar go down.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, if you measure it versus something like an asset like gold or something else, it's actually cheaper to buy a house. I think if you look at that, I can't run that data. We don't know it, but I'm sure that he has a valid point if he's bringing that up.
Which makes sense. And he has a whole diagram that breaks it all down, which I'll probably have to bring him on the show here. But, where was I here? Let's go to townhomes, okay? And I think this is also important, too, because for the people that can't afford to purchase a medium price point for a home at $425,
right?
Which is I understand, because when I bought my first home, I paid $195, and I thought that was very expensive.
It was.
It was very expensive.
At that time, you're like, wait a second.
I literally had a payment of $1,400 a month.
Yeah.
And at $1,400 a month, I was like, oh my God, this is my first home. I'm making a commitment. I'm so scared. Going from an $800 two-bedroom rent payment, right? But I made that commitment. But now I would give anything for $1,400, because I can tell you right now, at $425,000, you're not making a $1,400 payment. I'm sure it's a lot more, probably 16, 18. I'm not too sure. I'm not a lender. That would be more of a question for you.
Yeah, probably pushing two.
Oh man, I mean,
with taxes, insurance, HOA. I mean, if you have one, so.
Jeez, and the supply, right, keeps going lower and lower.
Where are we at with that thing right now as far as month supply?
Listen, you know what? We're gonna have to pull that up here in just a second. But what I want to do is I'm gonna go back here real quickly. Here, I'm gonna throw this up on the screen so that way we can see exactly what's going on, and we're just not making stuff up, because that's not what we're about as far as data. Okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna go back to single family residence. I'm gonna generate this. So as you can see, since the GLVR has been tracking data, right? As you can see from 2012, look at it. It just keeps climbing and climbing. Look at this.
Yeah.
And look at this spike right here. And this spike right here was during the COVID, right? I guess people are
That's
like,
a huge spike. Hey, do
know.
you think we're gonna hit that 500 by the end of the year?
Oh, be ready, folks.
Stay tuned.
So here's the data here. So as you can see, like from 2012, 2016, but you know what? Let's just go all the way down here. So January of 2020, 305, as you can see, went up $40,000 year to date. Okay. Then from here, as you can see, look how much more it went up. I mean, this is crazy.
You know what's alarming to me?
Yeah.
Is look at the jump in October to November, $10,000.
I know.
Right there.
1 month.
1 month.
1 month. But this is what's fascinating.
It's crazy.
If we look in July, right, was 405. August came around and it dipped. Went back up.
Do you know why August dipped?
Explain.
Schooling.
School and went back to school. That's a good
Kids go
point.
back to school.
So let's take a look. But if we look at 2017, 18, 19, 20, it didn't do that. So you're saying when school starts, it tends to slow.
Yeah. Summer ends, school starts, people stop moving.
Which makes sense. People are still buying, right? Not as much because people are starting to transition. Now, the next data I want to get into here real quick. Let's see here. We're going to get into townhomes because when somebody can't buy a single-family residence, they end up transitioning into a townhome, something that they may consider, which is I totally understand. Now, what is a townhome, right? It is still attached, right? Dwelling. You do have a 2-car garage. Sometimes it's a single-car garage, but it's also attached to your property.
Right.
Okay. So if we take a look, okay, from the beginning of the year of January of 2021, data here says that list price for the median price point for a townhome, $249,000. Year ended, $310,000.
Oh, wow.
Pretty big, dramatic increase for a townhome.
That's a lot.
That is a 20% increase. 20%. I mean,
crazy,
that is unbelievable. Okay. Again, I could just be making this stuff up, but look, proof's in the pudding. So let's take a look at this again.
Yeah, it's the data.
Look at this spike up. Look at this. This is a dramatic spike. Okay. Now I want to take a look at this data chart here. We're just going to straight
bring
down.
something up too. I mean, that's 2012. So
2012. You mean 2000?
No, when it started.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at that graph, there's not one point, maybe slightly, but I didn't see any point where it was going down.
All right, let's take a look at this thing together. So let's take a look at the graph.
it did a small dip, but I mean a trend down, like where it's consistently, like you got little blurps, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, if you look at the chart overall, it just continues to slope up.
It's like the stock market.
Correct.
But the reason why this also goes up in price is because of inflation, right? Your dollar only buys so much. When you get more money in the money supply in the chain, you got supply and demand. People want things, and that's how you have pricing increase.
Yeah.
So that's why the reason we are here today. Just like it was fascinating that there was a article that I read on, I think it was like an Instagram or something like that. You know how like cars are very hard to come by right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's Ford. Maybe it was GM. So Ford is now putting a clause in their contract that if you buy the vehicle, you can't sell it right away. There is a clause in there that you have to hold the vehicle for 1 year.
And I'm going to tell you maybe why that is.
That's like dictatorship.
Well, I'm going to tell you why, I think. So if you're getting a loan, you're collecting interest on that, and you sell it, they're not collecting any interest, right? I'm assuming that's why. Obviously, there's a shortage of, I'm assuming there's also a shortage of cars.
Yeah.
But to put a clause in there for them not to sell it. I mean, if you go in and you buy it cash, how can they say you can't sell it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you dictate what I do with my product?
Right. I mean, if it's a loan, okay, maybe the bank wants to get paid and people know that, these properties they're flipping, or not properties, but the cars, they're flipping cars.
Now, going back to the townhomes, as you can see, January, again, we started at $249. We ended at $310,000. For a townhome.
It's just unheard of, man. Just, I mean, that fast, that quick of an increase.
Yeah, it's like, how much can we continue the increase?
Well, I mean, it goes back. I know it sounds weird, but I mean, you believe this.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot of people feel that we're in a bubble. Yeah. Right? Now, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think it's not really a bubble? It's just more of this is the new norm. You know what I mean?
I almost feel like we've always been in a bubble, right? But I don't want to even say that anymore because it really just comes down to manipulation and how the feds control everything, how they buy our bonds, and they take that money and go buy into the stock market and it props everything up. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, the only people that is going to hurt, right? When this is all done, right? When the feds start to realize, you know what, we need to start to save our dollar, right? Because once you start losing the value of the currency, you no longer have control, right, of the population. That's what it really comes down to, right? This thing is going to come crashing, and when it does, the only people that are going to be hurting are going to be guys like me and you. Yeah. Okay? Now, for me, I feel like you have to diversify your portfolio. And what I mean by that, it's you're going to have to be liquid, okay? Because you don't know where this thing is going. Nobody does, right? But you got to understand the game, what's being played here. And once you understand where all this money is going and what's happening, you play the game, you can leverage out, and you can actually play to win. Because this is what we call wealth cycles. So real estate is a part of the wealth cycle, but we watch what's going on. But what I'm trying to say here is that you got to get educated. You got to know what's going on, especially if you're going to get into the real estate game. So my position on here is I'm going to sit on some money. I'm also going to buy real estate deals if it makes money, right? If I find a great flip property, I'm going to flip it. If I find a property that is a great rental property, I'm going to rent out the property. So it's case-by-case basis. But here's the thing. I'm also setting money off to the side just in case if this thing does tank, I'm in a position that I can pounce, okay? But obviously, I have other investment ventures on other things because this may all come crashing down. Who knows, right?
It's really hard, I think, too, to allocate how much goes to what. Like, you want to put money back into the business, right? You want to put money into maybe buying properties if one comes up. You also want to, like you said, pounce, right? Or put money aside. So, I don't know. I think it's a real hard thing to do to balance that out and kind of come up. I mean, I don't know if you have that issue, but, you know, where people just, they don't know how much they need to allocate and are they overspending in one area?
Well, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I can only tell you what I'm doing, but, you know, it just comes down to math and figure out what's going on and take a look at your financial situation. If you're currently in debt, you maybe want to pay that off.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can't handle your financial situation, believe it or not, you're not going to be able to play the game. So that's the first step, right? How much money's coming in, how much money's going out.
Right.
And the first thing to do is alleviate that by just paying off all your debt. The next step is, I understand the game. What can I do to play the game, right? It's how do I borrow other people's money to go make money? Because now we are in a society that it's not hard making money. The problem is the money that you're making, it's not enough, right? I mean, you can literally go to the grocery store and everything in there is probably about 15% higher than what it was.
Inflation, yeah.
Yes. Now, sometimes you may get fooled. You know, that box of cereal was 12 ounces, but now it's only 6 ounces. But you're thinking you're still paying a great deal. So these are the things that you have to take a look at. Now, what I've noticed is that single-family residents, townhomes, all right, getting way overpriced. I felt like I had to get into the game and buy some sort of rental properties, but the numbers wasn't making sense, so I started looking at condos. Now, for some apparent reason, after I bought my first condo to rent out,
you're hooked.
It's not that I'm hooked. It's the market has gone up pretty dramatically right now on condos. So if we take a look at the condo chart here, okay, 2021 of January, 162,500. Now today, closed out at 215,000. That is a 25% increase, which is which is very high.
Yeah.
Right. What I'm saying about this is that I got a great deal, but I got at the tail end of it, and basically, I can't even go find a good deal anymore. The only way to really find a good deal is you got to find somebody that needs to sell. And typically, the property does need to be rehabbed. Also, talking about rehab properties, guys, if you guys are a wholesaler out there and you guys have a property that you guys want to wholesale, hey, send it my way, man. I definitely want to be a part of that deal. If you guys want to JV a deal, we could do that together too as well. Send me a DM. Send me that deal. Let me take a look at it. Or if you're looking for private money, I may have a deal for you. That's right, for private money. So I want to get into that game. I need your help. So, but I want to get into the financing, okay? Because I haven't spoken to you for some time, okay?
Yeah.
What's going on right now? Give us a little rundown.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, everybody's always talking about what rates are doing. I think everybody has, it's important. So I want to kind of explain a couple of things. One is rates have been going up overall, right? Everybody knows that. You have an APR, and I think people don't understand the difference. A lot of people say, well, what's the APR? APR is your annual percentage rate, right? And that's all your fees, including your loan fees and everything, amortized into on an annual basis or a yearly basis. So that's your true cost of your loan. So I just want to bring that up because I get a lot of questions like, well, what's, is the APR what I look at, or is it the base rate that I look at? You want to look at the base rate because it dictates your payment, but the APR, I just want to bring that up. So talking about inflation, we don't know what's going to happen with inflation, but I did bring up some things here, some documents that I wanted to bring up on this. And so through the pandemic, the Fed started purchasing, $120 billion worth of bonds.
Is that every month?
Every month, right? Mm-hmm. And we talk about how they were repurchasing those bonds, right? Yeah. So they were taking the interest off of those bonds and repurchasing it, and to get more bonds, and that's the suppressed rates. Okay. Yeah. Now they're going to stop doing that, and they're going to actually turn into a seller now. Okay. Starting in March, so they're now not buying them; they're selling them. So this put a big frenzy in the market, right?
Whoa! So our government sells our own bonds, but now they're allowing the feds to sell the bonds that we sold to them.
Yeah, so they're going to turn around and sell it to big investors, right?
Okay.
And so they can hold on to these treasuries and mortgage bonds, mortgage-backed securities. So one of the things to look at is we're $9 trillion. That's how much they've purchased notes and bonds total. Okay. Right, that they're going to try to sell off. Now in March, they're also going to raise the Fed's fund rate, potentially raise the rate. And everybody's like, well,
I thought they were tapering.
No, they're going to potentially look at raising rates.
Yeah.
And why is because inflation. Yeah. So they're going to taper on how much they're going to buy in bonds and treasuries. Mm-hmm. But they're also going to potentially raise the Fed's fund rate.
Will you just explain why they have to raise rates eventually? If they don't raise it now, they're going to have to. But can you explain why they have to raise it?
We're on a path where they're continuously buying, tons of bonds, right? $120 billion worth of bonds every month. And they can't keep creating this out of nothing and then creating it and then utilizing whatever money that they say they have to basically repurchase these bonds with the interest. So you have to have a big entity that's going to service those bonds, those treasuries, and the interest off of those notes, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not in that business to do that, first off.
Yeah.
So eventually they're going to have to raise it. Also, inflation is starting to go up. So what they do with that is they say, okay, well, if we raise rates,
it slows down inflation,
slows down the economy, and it brings back some of the money that's in the circulation, if they want to call it digital currency, right? Not just dollars, but so people are not going out and buying things.
This is kind of scary because you know what it feels like? It feels like the feds, they're starting to get backed up on the corner like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? So eventually something's about to pop.
I'm telling you, man. And so you're looking at what are they going to do moving forward, So a lot of the data that's come out is showing that they should be doing this. They're going to start doing this in March. Now, they also said that the Fed hikes, everybody's always like, well, when are they going to start hiking rates up? And so they were talking about first month of 2023. Now they're talking about it in June of 2022. Okay. So they're accelerating this thing a lot quicker than what they wanted to do. So you look at the economic data that we're also seeing. You look at bottom line is that, with the Fed, when they went from a tailwind to a headwind as it relates to rates, people are saying, well, should I wait or should I not wait because rates are going to potentially go up, right? And we always say, well, they can't go up. I feel that they will go up. I don't know the data of how far they're going to go up, but if you don't do something by March, potentially you're going to have a lot higher rate. And I think that's the trend that everybody's looking at right now. And so that's important. Go ahead.
I mean, if they raise it, let's just say a quarter of a point, do you really think it would affect the marketplace?
Well, we're talking about short-term bonds.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not talking about long-term. See, what happens is you're going to see a long-term bond like a mortgage.
Yeah.
Long-term bonds,
So we have a 10, a 15, and a 30.
Right. So anything that's on a long-term basis will eventually get there. Yeah. So when they raise those rates and it's tapering or hopefully containing inflation, it's not long after that if it continues to go this way and the economy still has high inflation and you got really a tightening of employment, then you're going to start to see those rates are going to go up as well. Mm-hmm. So the things that they're raising, when we talk about that, we've said it before, student loans, credit cards, what the interest rate is off that. It's more of the short-term bonds or the short-term investments that you make into getting a loan. So a lot of the stuff that you're looking at, it's not going to affect long-term rates right away, but it could affect it down the road. One of the other things I want to bring up, and this is very important. So FHFA, which is Federal Housing Finance Association, they run Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. This is important because last year they imposed a 0.5% increase on rates for refis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is bullshit.
It is, because all they're doing is trying to make extra money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're government sanctioned entities, and they're trying to run a business. They're trying to make money. So people buying secondary homes, they're now running anywhere from a quarter to a 75% basis point hit on the rate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means, let's say if I priced out a rate at 3%, you might be now at 4% or 4.25%.
Ooh.
And they're only doing it on secondary homes. We have a lot of secondary home buyers.
So let's get into that just a second here. The question is, why would they do that? And I'm thinking the reason why they want to do that is because something could come up.
Yes.
Right? Just in case.
Yes.
So they're suppressing it just a little bit.
Yes.
Would you have to agree with that?
I would. And
Okay.
I think it's this. So what is the first thing that failed back when we had our collapse? It was secondary homes, condos, investment properties.
Exactly.
You're living in another state. I don't care about that property, right?
Exactly.
I'll let it go.
Because you would let that go.
Go on to credit. So who loses on that? The
banks.
servicer
Yep.
and Fannie Mae,
Investor.
Freddie Mac, because they're ones maybe sold, maybe it was sold to them. So when you're selling directly to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the servicers, they're the ones that's going to lose. They, in my opinion, for secondary homes and investment properties, they're pushing these people out because they don't want to have them on the books in case we do have a collapse.
Okay. Now, what I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think, this is important because if people are coming here and trying to buy a home and get their foot in to
the door,
buying a home here or any other state,
It's going to be a little bit harder.
A lot harder. If you're buying an investment property,
Yeah.
that return on investment might not be there. You might be just all of a sudden out of the market.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Didn't FHA guidelines just recently increase their loan amount?
Yeah, they increased their loan level or their loan amount. They also increased their. So did Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA.
Okay. So let's talk about this. I think this is important. Do you know what the numbers are?
I think the number went up to, I believe, and I can't quote on this because I think it's 427.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, something like that.
This is the dumbest thing. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. If the median price point is already at 425, why are you doing it at the 427?
Well,
you should already have it at 500, knowing
here's the issue. So
that would stimulate home buying immediately.
Well, listen, there's a market for this, right? So we all know that conventional buyers are a little bit more credit worthiness, right?
Yeah.
They have a little bit more money, right? Typically, you have to put more money down. You have to have a higher credit score. FHA buyers may have some blemishes. They maybe have 2 out of the 3 things that are primarily things that's needed for a loan.
Yeah.
So when you go into buying a house, right? If you're buying at, 537, 637, let's say the new county limit 637, or for conventional, they may not have 3.5% for that, right? And also too, for people that are buying into FHA, right? There's a market for that, right? There's a certain amount of people that cannot qualify for a conventional loan that they need that. So if you raise that to that same level, that might push even more people out of the market because now they're required for a higher down payment, right? So I get why they're doing it. I think it should be increased a little bit, but I don't know. I just think that FHA is always going to have a spot for that,
It almost feels like FHA loans are pretty much irrelevant now because it's like
100%.
Every deal I do right now is all like conventional, and it's very unlikely I will even get a conventional at 3% down. It's crazy.
I can't remember the last time I did an FHA loan. I'm not going to sit here and say, but I really can't. I mean, 95% of my deals are conventional buyers, jumbo loans, veteran buyers, right? VA buyers. Why? Because leniency, and they allow to go up higher limits. And, VA is a different animal altogether. But, I mean, you can buy a $800,000 home putting no money down. That's a big deal for a VA buyer. So, I got nothing else.
Oh, that's it. Man, you just winded yourself.
I know. I'm tired. I'm like, but I think that all these things are relevant. I think inflation is going to be a big factor. I was preaching last year that we can't see inflation staying this long, this high, and I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you admit you're wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong.
I think we had an argument on the show one day. I was like mad at you right after the show. Like, why didn't you agree with me? But whatever. The other thing is that what I was going to say is that why do you think that we're going to increase in pricing?
For what? For homes?
For homes. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors. Consumer confidence is always going to be there because of how things are propped up, and the media, and also the environment when people go to buy a house. Everybody tells everybody, you better buy now, or and that's true. You better buy because you're going to lose out. The problem is everybody's buying a fear of missing out.
Yeah,
fear of scarcity, fear of that if the rates are going to go up, if pricings go up, if I don't buy now, I may never buy altogether. We'll turn into a city or a country of families living together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are worried about.
I think what's happening is if we take a look at the demographics, right? You got the millennials, Generation Y.
Yeah.
Okay. They're a big population of our demographics.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a look at the age group, right? I'm going to say just cut it down the middle around the age of 34, right? They're buying homes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take a look, you have the baby boomers retiring, they're downsizing, so they want to buy, right? They want to get into a cheaper home, so that, has more buyers into the supply line.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the young millennials, they want a place to live, or they're going to have a place to rent. So, they're growing up. They're getting to that age where like, hey, I'm moving out of my mom's house now, and we need more homes for them. And that's the reason why the supply is so low. Right?
Do you think, though, that millennials, I wouldn't say millennials, but the generation, what is that generation before millennials?
I think it's Generation Y, yeah.
Is the urgency, and look, maybe they're, mid-20s, late 20s, I don't know, early 30s, but are they in a position where they're real urgent about buying into a house? Because I feel that you brought something up recently that people, it's easy to make money, right?
Exactly.
And there's different ways to make money.
Yeah.
Is the first thing on their agenda to go out and buy a house at that point? I don't know. I'm not saying that for everybody. Maybe.
Well, what I've noticed is the younger generation are buying based upon investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays, man, if you turn on the TV, they've got all these reality shows and hey, flip the properties, and it's like, hey, the limelight, everybody wants to do it. So everybody that gets into real estate, that's what they want to do. Okay. Now, I've noticed that the younger generations that have kids and families, they want to buy a home, right? They don't want to live with their parents, right?
Yeah, and I think it's true. You brought up something else too, where think about 20 years ago, right, or even 25 years ago, we didn't have all of these things that goes on where you have access to somebody preaching to you on YouTube about flipping homes. We didn't have a Chakits Kruksawat on a YouTube channel telling us how things work. I think as you start to, if you're born into that type of society or that type of situation,
correct,
it's just a different mindset altogether. And I think that mindset, that's the reason why I bring it up is, they might be interested in that, but they're also interested in that quick dollar, making that quick money, like you said.
Yeah.
And I would have to agree, everything's put out there, but with social media, the things that you may not have known before or think that it's all flash, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the good and the bad now, where maybe before, if you just watch the news channel, it'd be like, yeah, this is the good part of it. It's just, there's so much data out there, so much information, and it's on social media, all platforms. Like, I just feel
it's like so easy to make money. Come on, let's go make some money. I think
they're believing into that, you know what, that's the hype, and I'm going to go do it. And a lot of them do it. And the agenda may not be, the only way to get there now is to buy a house. Now they're thinking of different things. You got cryptocurrencies and you got all kinds of stuff, that people are looking to invest. So I don't know. It's just a different world.
All right. So I want to get into the current housing. Let's see. Let me take a look here because this is important right here.
The current housing?
Yeah, I want to see exactly our inventory. So here on the inventory for single-family residents, we actually have a total. You guys won't be able to see this because it's on the right-hand corner. Here, let me just take this up right here, so it's right there. 2,309 homes, and this is just for single-family residents, right? Detached.
That's crazy.
And that's not that much because I think you have about almost like 3,000 people here, or maybe more, moving out here to Las Vegas every single month. I mean, it's a pretty high number.
I think we're at 2.6 in Clark County, 2.6 million.
Oh no, I think you're higher than that.
I think maybe.
Is it? Yeah.
Maybe. I might be wrong. I think the last time I looked.
Yeah, I haven't checked because I think the last time I looked was probably about a year ago, but it's got to be more than that now.
Think about it like that. I mean, I know it's like we're just talking about Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about like Nye County and Logan, all that other place, but Pahrump. We're not talking, but still.
Yeah.
having that many people move here with that amount of homes, that's why people are going new homes.
I mean, take a look at this. Just for condos, 261. I mean, everybody's fighting for the same home.
And now you see like, oh, well, why are you offering $20,000, $30,000 above list? Because I'm competing against everybody out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's no fun.
Townhomes, 172 homes currently available. I mean, geez, this is unbelievable. So we have less than 3,000 homes currently right now in the marketplace, and everybody's trying to get the same home.
Yeah.
Which I guess the question is, should you be buying a home now?
Primary residence, I don't think it makes a difference. Investment, man, I'd really have to look at that. I mean, if I'm buying an investment property, I better hit a grand slam because, you know, with rates, if you're got to get a loan for that stuff, I mean, if you're going in cash like you did,
it's still,
different world. But
even though you go cash or financing, it has to pencil out. And I can tell you right now, it's not penciling out, but then you have investors still buying because they want to park their money somewhere.
Yeah.
Remember, you're losing about, 3% of inflation every single year, but I'm sure it's more than that. I'm going to say 6%. So if you got $1 million, there goes $60,000. So you're going to have to put your money somewhere.
Well, you know, too, I'll say about that is the confidence is there, and I'll tell you why I say that is we all talked about this before, is a lot of Chinese and a lot of Canadians are planting their money here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a lot of our predominant people that are migrating out of the country.
Yeah.
Buying here. So if they got confidence in it too, I'm sure that, you know, you got a lot of investors buying investment properties. They're not doing it though as a mom and pop where they're trying to make money off that one individual or a couple of units. They're doing it like, hey, we're going to get what we want because there's nothing out there to rent, and we're looking at this as a long-term basis, not a, hey, we got to make money every month.
Well, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the LV Home Experts Radio Show. So if you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. This is the only YouTube channel where it's going to educate you on purchasing a home. And also don't forget to check out the Chakits 2.0 if you just love everything real estate. Check us out also on Instagram too, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media sites. And also let me know if you guys like this content, would like more content like this. Other than that, until next time, folks.